Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Friday, December 8th, 2023. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful week so far. It is Friday, the last day of the work week for a lot of people, anyways. So, hopefully, you guys have some awesome things planned for the weekend. Let's go ahead and hop into these astrological trends so you can be better prepared to navigate these celestial energies. All right. So we got the moon that's going to be finishing up in Libra today. It does make oppositions to the North Node in Aries, while at the same time conjuncting that South Node. We're going to be seeing that very early in the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very quick transit. Nothing too crazy with that one, to be fair. You maybe your morning starts off with a little bit of strife, maybe starts off with a little bit of discord, maybe you bump your toe or something like that out of bed, or maybe the shirt that you want to wear today, it doesn't really quite smell good, what I mean, like little tiffies, like little spats, what I'm saying. So nothing too crazy, I feel, with this one. Just your morning may start off a little bit weird. My morning didn't start off weird. I had a pretty vivid dream that I woke up from, and I was just like, I just smiled when I woke up. I was like, yeah, well, there you go. So it was pretty. I was like hopping dimensions and shit in my dream and stuff. So it was pretty interesting. So like hopping timelines in my dream and stuff too. And I was about to like go back to like the original timeline within the dream and stuff, and then I woke up. So that was kind of interesting. Now, like I said, we're going to see the moon do that today. It does make some other aspects, of course, throughout the day. We'll see it make a quincunx over to Neptune, which is now direct. The main thing, though, of course, of the day, I would say, is that moon is going to make a square over to Pluto and Capricorn. Now, we've been dealing with the moons in Libras and the moons in Aries squaring this Pluto and Capricorn for the better part of 15 years. So, we are coming to the end of this particular aspect, and we'll never see it again after November 2024. So we still got almost a full year about a half year, because Pluto's going to go into Aquarius and then retrograde back into Capricorn. So we still have a few more of these on the agenda, right? But they are coming to its close. And, going off of the South Node and this square, and since it's happening in these later signs, like I said, we can definitely be looking for that balance and that harmony in our life. And there could be I could feel this is like diplomatic relationships starting to be really challenged and stuff. Especially with all this Uranian energy here in Taurus, and the last time that Uranus was here was World War II, right? Always shaking things up, always shaking up the foundation. Yeah, the moon in Libra, what I'm saying, squaring of Pluto and Cap. And also, we got to remember that this moon, is being disposited by Saturn, the ruler of Libra. Oh, well, not Saturn, excuse me, Venus, the ruler of Libra. Saturn is exalted there, right? But Venus is the ruler of Libra, and it's in its detriment right now. So this is in a very peculiar energy, I would say. It's not bad, because I think there's actually a lot of positive energy actually to this week. We still have that Sun and Mars in Sagittarius. It's not going to be making really any crazy aspects per se. It's going to be trining all the Aries energy, and it's going to be sextiling the Libra energy. It's not, like I said, it's not making any super crazy aspects besides the squares that it'll be making to Pisces, but we're in between the squares. You know what I'm saying? The sun is about a week out from squaring Neptune. Mars is about a week out from squaring Saturn, a little bit more than a week out from squaring Saturn. So we're kind of in this weird in between space. We're able to kind of collect our thoughts. We're trying to collect the way that we feel about things, seeing where can we find those motivations, where can we find those inspirations, where can we find that that second, third, fourth gear to really get going because it can definitely feel like a lot right now. It can feel like there's a lot of information to take in. It can feel like in many parts, like it's like you got wars over here, and then you got wars over there, you got wars over here, and it makes us kind of wonder: it's like, is World War III really around the corner? Like, is it, or is it already here? We just don't recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Plus, it's the holiday season, and this is that weird time of year where it's like half of the people are super happy and jovial, and the other half are like mega depressed. So, like, it's a very, like I've said, a very peculiar time right now. Not bad. Definitely a lot of positive stuff going on, but at the same time, it requires a little bit of trust. It requires some faith. It requires us to, like I said, dig deeper and find the extra gear. It's not going to come. It's not the way that you did things before. It's going to require a little bit more of you. You gotta. This is some major upgrades that we are having to do in our life. So we're gonna see that moon after it squares Pluto, right? After we get the challenging aspect from the executioner, right? So it's like, oh, let's think about that. Pluto's the executioner, and then the moon in Libra is trying to find some balance and harmony, and it's in the decan ruled by Mercury, which is slowing the fuck down in Capricorn, right? And it's out of bounds. This is like, I could say, last ditch efforts, Hail Marys, like policy changes, Hail Mary, like trying to find a balance, probably in reaction to something that might have happened, and just trying to find anything to kind of bring some type of like, you know, compromise, whatever. But we have to realize that life is inherently unbalanced at times, and it can be inherently unfair at times. And we have to learn how to be able to still move within the game of life. So Pluto is going to be providing that big challenge and kind of like destroying maybe some preconceived notions on what true balance actually is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we like to think that it's always like A versus B or something, or it's like all like whenever, like, say if you have like an actual scale, you're dividing things out, you know, that those things are mutually exclusive. But then if you look at true balance, which is the yin yang, you see there's a little bit of white in the black, or a little bit of light in the darkness, and a little bit of darkness in the light. And that's how the true balance is kept, right? Because those little spots, they're like little, they're like little stars and like gravity, and that's what actually allows it to like move around and stuff, right? So that's what keeps it, you know, truly in balance. It's not that bigger space that encompasses it. It's actually that core, that little bit of light within the dark, and a little bit of dark within the light that actually maintains the balance. But at times it can feel unbalanced. And even if we look at a yin yang symbol, right? Let's just take a look at one. If I could spell correctly. Like, I see these as what's actually causing the motion. Like if this thing were to spin, these are the things that are causing the motion. So they're like twin stars rotating around each other, right? But at times it can, even though these two sides are the same size, they're the same size, right? But there are moments where, like, say if you're down here, it can feel like there's so much right here and it's unbalanced. The same thing with up here, right? So that's the thing about it. They're equal sizes. They both have a little bit of each other in them, but at the same time, but at the same time, it can sometimes feel unbalanced. Is the white on top of the black, or is the black on top of the white? I just thought about that one. If that even makes any sense. But yeah. So, you know, back to the charts. A little bit of an aside. But we're going to see, of course, that moon that's going to shift into Scorpio. Now, this is going to be towards the end of the day, at least on the East Coast, like 10:49, around that time, maybe a little bit earlier. But your West Coast peeps, this is going to be happening around like your early evening, around 7:49 or so. And yeah, we're going to see this happen, and we're going to immediately see it begin to make a trine over to Saturn, which is nice. And in fact, it actually creates like a nice harmonious grand water trine because we got Vesta over there in Cancer, right? So it's like, but this moon, remember, it's in fall in Scorpio. So now we have a detriment planet and a fall planet, or body at least, in Scorpio. And I think it's interesting how we went from the more masculine, protruding kind of energy via the Sun and Mars that was in Scorpio. So that aspect of Scorpio was expressed. The more, focused on the Capricorn energy, the more, business, more the more business like energy that Scorpio can have, the go getter kind of like that kind of energy was more expressed, and now we are getting the more feminine, receptive aspect of the Scorpio that we're going to be experiencing. I mean, Venus is here, but at least with the moon and Venus for the next 48 hours or so, we're going to be experiencing that. So it's going to be an interesting shift up from the Scorpio energy that we were experiencing. And, of course, we have Venus that's getting ready to oppose Jupiter. The moon will oppose Jupiter tomorrow. So, and like I said, this is one of those moments where we have to just kind of dig deep and find that extra gear in life. We have to find the extra gear when it comes to, you know, taking the action when it comes to the Scorpio energy. Now we got to find the extra gear when it comes to feeling through the intensity of life, feeling through all of the craziness and stuff. Now we got to find an extra gear as far as that goes. When Mars and the Sun were there, it was about having like finding the will to like really get up and to take the action, even if you were afraid. Right now, with the Moon and Venus, it's about feeling like we're going to be feeling more of the intensities and feeling a little bit more of the darkness, and then we have to learn how to like navigate it from that aspect too. So it's going to be a success. Pretty interesting. So we had a Venus that's trying Saturn. Now we got the Moon that's trying Saturn. Like I said, positive overall. I think this is actually a very positive day. It's just going to require us to look at it from a different perspective, because if you go into today with the same perspective that we had even 6 months ago, most certainly a year or two ago, and we try to approach today the same way that we would approach any day, like we did like 6 months to a year or 2, 3 years ago, then we're going to find ourselves getting disappointed. We're going to find ourselves being maybe a little bit overwhelmed emotionally, and wanting to escape in some type of way. Especially with the Saturn that's now forward and a Neptune that's forward in Pisces. There can be some dangers here where we feel like we need to escape a situation via, you know, doing some sort of way out there thing that ostracizes you from others, or doing like a bunch of drugs and shit. Like, especially since we're like in between with the Mars and Sun squares over to the Pisces energies, especially since we're in between, it can kind of feel like a bit of a purgatorial state. Like we're still kind of in that jello, if you will. But the thing is that, except Saturn, 1 degree, we've committed to a certain timeline for the next 29 years, whether we like it or not. You know what I mean? Now, how much of your consciousness went into selecting that timeline? I would say that it was probably a good bit subconscious because it is Pisces, it's the natural 12th house. But how much of it was you consciously taking your spiritual life more serious and you consciously, you know, upgrading yourself spiritually and truly like actively engaging with that part, right? Which is honestly everything. Sometimes we like to separate spirit from other parts of our life, and really it's everything. All right. So, anyways, let's hop into the cards. Let's see what we got card wise. And that's the thing too. Like, if you don't have that extra gear, then this is when you have to upgrade. You know what I'm saying? You have to find a way to upgrade yourself. You know, this is a time where, maybe you have to make some modifications to your daily life. If you're looking for that upgrade, looking for the software downloads. What do you think meditation is? Right? What do you think meditation is? Meditation is like if you're trying to download different, say if you're trying to download like an update, right? But you don't have enough space to download that update on your computer, right? What do? You delete space. You delete unwanted and junk files to do that. We are the same way. So if we want to upgrade in life, as we experience these different celestial transits, we have to go back and delete unwanted junk files. It's the same thing. How do you do that? Meditation, prayer, sleep. If you're not getting good quality sleep, then you're fucked too. Exercise, you know what I'm saying? These are the things that help us to delete the unwanted files in life. If you're not doing any of those things, you're gonna be fucked. I'm not even gonna lie. Like it's gonna be tough because that download's still gonna try and find its way in, and that's the thing too. Because like then it's like you're literally busting at the seams at that point. You're like running out of capacity, and it's still filling up, and then that's when it feels like energy is getting hoarded in your life because the downloads are still going to come, but you have like no space to move about. So you gotta you gotta clean up that space. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, what do we have for the cards? Two of Cups in reverse. Yeah. Maybe we're not on like the same emotional page as some people. Maybe we're trying to have compassion for people, but we can't quite see eye to eye with them. So that can make for some, like I said, some difficult energy when you're trying to find compassion for people, try to see eye to eye, try to get on the same emotional page, but it can feel a little bit off. You know what I'm saying? That's followed by the Two of Pentacles. The reason why it's off is because you're unbalanced. And the reason why it's off is shit, maybe, just maybe, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Maybe you're putting all of your energy into one thing instead of finding the balance and harmony within your own life. Just because you're looking out the world, and we can look out the world and be like, how come there's not balance and harmony and peace out there? And if we get so caught up on that external story, then it's going to start to affect our emotions. It's going to start to affect our stress levels. Don't worry about all that. I think it's like I said, I think it's good to be aware of some of that stuff, but at the same time, you got to bring it back home. So if you're looking out in the world and you're not seeing any peace or harmony, and it's out there too, maybe it's not being broadcasted, but it's out there, or balance, like I said, it's out there, it's just not being broadcasted. Go within yourself and create that within yourself. And then watch your world start to change around you. And maybe you're putting all your eggs in one basket and it's having everything lean to one side, you know what I'm saying? Right? This is a time where we take Shit, here's a perfect example. Generally, I think this happens to a lot of people where we might put one more weight on one side than the other when we walk or when we stand and stuff like that. And I went to the chiropractor when I first went to this chiropractor. He had me stand on two different scales, like one for each leg, and it actually showed me what side I tend to favor as far as the pressure goes, or as far as like the weight goes. That's interesting. So we can even be doing that where we can be putting a little bit more weight on one side. And in order to correct this, I had to start getting adjustments, right? I mean, yeah, now I'm aware of it and I'm aware of it. And I think I know exactly what it is or part of what it is that does that because when I stand, I tend to lean to one side anyways and put I tend to put like weight on like one leg anyways. But I think it was interesting to see the disparity. I was like, wow, I didn't know that I was favoring this side more than the other, you know? But it's like you gotta be but I still had to get a correction. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the thing about this. Like we have to make those corrections, we have to make those adjustments in our life so we can bring things back into balance and harmony. But no one's going to tell you to do that. You gotta do it yourself. You gotta be able to motivate yourself. And now that, like I said, we have the feminine energy in Scorpio and not the masculine energy in Scorpio, this is really going to be an inside job, if you will. We have that followed by the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, you see, she is an emotionally intelligent woman, right? She's an emotionally intelligent woman, and she has to be. Maybe it is all of her people that are on this Two of Cups, Two of Pentacles train, but she has to have the vision and she has to have the emotional stability, but yet still compassion to be able to understand her people, to really feel out what her people say, but at the same time make those decisions that even if they don't see the vision, even if they don't see necessarily how this is going to bring the balance and harmony, that it still will. You got to be able to be that in your own life. And you can't necessarily wait for someone else to do this. You have to be that in your own life. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast this Friday. Hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful Friday. I'll see you guys on the next astrology forecast. Peace.